What's up, TikTokers? It's me, Vee. I got my new homie paint. Non-binary homie? Non-binary homie. And we're out here. We got Gatorade, we got packs of juice, we got sandwiches, we got harm reduction supplies, we got smoke. What's up, everyone? Wade, Tanse, it's me, Uncle V, Uncle Bumblebee. I wanted to give a big shout out to Fox Club Wellness. We really appreciate all of your support. Your donations have gone a long way. This is just half of what we were going to get today on menstrual products. We wanted to get more, but we just didn't have the room. We were able to get some stuff.
My name's Maggie. I've been with Nekem pretty much since the beginning. We didn't have a Calgary crew going until about a year after Vee started in Edmonton, but I helped him when he was on his walk from Calgary to Edmonton when he launched Nekem. So I think I paid for like 3 of his hotel stays during that walk, just because I wanted to make sure that after having walking for that long every day, that he had somewhere comfortable to sleep at night. I have an uncle who walked across Canada when I was a kid, and so he kind of told me, he's like, make sure that your friend has good shoes and a good place to sleep at night, and yeah. So I mean, I started supporting Vee right from the beginning, and it took a while, it took almost a year for us to get a Calgary crew together, but a lot of the people who started right from the beginning are still with us and going strong, and we're slowly growing, but we're kind of careful of who we take on. We want to make sure that people are doing it for the right reasons. Different. Normally when we do sandwiches for Nekem, we put them in paper bags so that if campers need them to start a fire to keep warm at night, then they can use them as fire starter. But we had sandwiches donated from a different organization, and they use plastic bags, so that's something a little bit different. But yeah, attention to detail. We try to put a lot of thought into that, because plastic's not good for the environment. It's a lot of sandwiches we're handing out. It's a lot of plastic. It's better if we have paper. I consider myself more the food coordinator. I do all of the cooking for the hot meals or the sandwiches in the summer. And I do all the grocery shopping. So we were going out once a week, so we'd be picking up bottled water and juice boxes and some snacks, and then all the ingredients that I need to make a soup or a stew or sandwiches. Usually we do hot food over the winter, and then in the summer we'll do sandwiches. And then also just coordinating all the volunteers and making sure who's able to make it and who's not, and making sure that we have enough people to carry everything to hand out is another thing, because sometimes we'll get a lot of donations and we don't always have the hands to hand them out, and then sometimes we have a lot of people want to help hand things out and we don't have a lot to hand out. So trying to coordinate all that is part of my job. One of the guys came up and he's like, what, do I gotta fight that guy over there for a sandwich? And I was like, no, we got other stuff, thankfully we have snacks and stuff too, right? But yeah, if we don't have enough for a whole group of people, we'll try to find a smaller group so that people aren't fighting over stuff. That's never the intention. They just want to help. So normally I wait to pick up the food until like the morning of, or maybe the day before, but usually the morning of. First thing in the morning I get up, I go to the grocery store, pick up whatever we need, pick up whatever donations I might need to pick up on the way back from the grocery store. We do have some people who are sort of regularly involved through donations, but not volunteering. So we have like a hookup to somebody who has a backyard chicken farm, so we can get some chicken eggs. And we have connections to various bakeries around the city. So, I do all the food pickup in the morning, and then I usually make it back here about 10 or 11 and start cooking. And then by 3 or 4, people would start showing up for volunteering. And we always try to make sure that, everybody's fed before we go out feeding people. So I try to make enough that if anybody wants a bowl of whatever or a sandwich, that they're able to do that before we head out. And then, then we fill up the wagon and we take the wagon out. Either we go down to the camps along the river or we go out to the train stations downtown. And we hand out food and harm reduction and cigarettes and any other things. Sometimes we get hand warmers or gloves and hats in the winter. Sometimes we'll get, donations of extra things like iced tea in the summer, or like those little fold-up fans, that those can always be helpful. Kind of depends on what people need. If we're going to the train stations, it's usually really busy. Sometimes we can serve like 60 people in an hour, which is, like a person a minute, and making sure that they have everything that they need.
My name's Riaz, and I've been working with Nekem for about a year. I got introduced into outreach through Vee and Maggie last year and this year. I'd never really kind of done outreach until Vee kind of shared what he was doing in Edmonton. When I started going, we'd be going through the summer, so we started June, July. We would get donations from people that water and bread to make the sandwiches, chips, harm reduction from people that Maggie knew, right? So we'd kind of just get everything together, take backpacks and strollers, and what Vee wanted was just, for us to help people regardless of where they're at, right? And that's what kind of got me into, helping people more, right?
Wait, my name is Vee Duncan, aka Uncle Bumblebee. I was born in Williams Lake, BC. I was raised all over the lower mainland and the northern Caribou. I grew up on. I'm from Canoe Creek, Dog Creek Bend, but I grew up on sugarcane. I run an organization called Nekem, and in my language, Sequoia language, it means to change something. And it was all inspired by changes that I saw that was needed in the system and changes that I've had to go through to get to where I'm at. We feed the homeless. We provide food, clothing, and other bare necessities that people need that are transitioning from homelessness, incarceration, or other institutions like psych wards. And a lot of it has to do with how I was raised, taking care of the community and understanding our ways compared to, I guess, the North American way, colonial way. I don't know what to call it. It's some sort of way and it's not ours. But yeah, a lot of it has to do with how I was raised and what I was taught growing up about taking care of the community. Now, I remember when I was a kid asking my grandma why people drank the way they drank or why they did drugs. And she explained it to me like that they were mourning, that they didn't know how to mourn and that they didn't know how to let go. So it's something that stuck with me my whole life, is just that these people out on the streets are mourning. And in our culture, in our community, where I come from, what you do for anybody that's mourning is you feed them. Whenever we had funerals or any sort of tragedy on the reserve, we came together and we cooked for the family that was going through that emotions. And that's what we do here. At least that's what I'm trying to do here with Naum, is building that understanding through tradition. Because those people, they've been through a lot of trauma. And I can see that because of the trauma that I don't talk about it much because most people don't get it. But when I was a kid, because of my grandpa and his lodge, my ba'a, and the way my cha'a, the way they were was they took care of the community and they saw that they need to help people heal. So there were constantly people coming over to sober up, to detox. And we witnessed a lot of that as kids. And most people would be like, well, like, that's not healthy, that's not right, it's not safe. But in our culture, taking care of the community when they're in a bad way is what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to be there for them, help them get better in any way that we can. And through ceremony, that's what I witnessed growing up. It's hard though, because it's colonial shame that has kept me from talking about stuff like that, because it's 2023 and I'm still ashamed to be an Indian. I'm still ashamed of our ways. I'm still ashamed of my skin, my hair. But I think with this movement and with what I've been doing and what other people have been doing is changing that shame and letting it go and taking back who we are. And I saw that as kids, that we, when we take in my aunts and my uncles, and, they'd come and they'd go through DTs in our basement. You could hear them talking, screaming, crying about what happened to them in residential school. It's not something that I've wanted to talk about because it's not mine. It's not my pain. And I think that's why I can do what I've been doing, helping these people, is because that some of us are healers, and I think that's what I'm here to do, is to help people. That's what my grandma and grandpa did traditionally. And I think that's the kind of work that needs to continue. I'm not saying that I'm a doctor or I'm any sort of medicine man or shaman, but I am here to help people through their experiences with my experiences, understanding that people have just gone through a lot of trauma and they need a way to figure out what it is they need to figure out. And the best thing for me to do is let them feel what they need to feel until they get it out of their system, and be there to show them a different way. And that's just by loving them. That's by being there to show them that you can have love without expectation, without they just need to be loved. When I go out there to feed people, sometimes, when I meet new people and I hear them like talking about, when I give them food and they're like, well, what's in it for you? And it's like, nothing, bro. I just want you to eat. That little bit of relief, because I'm not sitting there trying to save them or tell them what to do with their lives. I'm just there to give them something to eat, give them a smoke, and let them know that someone still cares about them, and that when they're ready, I'll still be there. Because modern medicine isn't like that. And that's why it doesn't work. Because we think that we can pay people to care. That's not the way the world works. And I've noticed that now, because I've worked with people, social workers, I've worked with professionals in this industry that they decompartmentalize everything when they go home, and they're fine. And for people like me, people like us, that have been through addiction, through trauma, that have been Indigenous. We can't just turn it off. Because that's my family out there. It's my aunties, my sisters, my brothers. I really wish other people would understand that it's harder for us because I may be in a totally different country, totally different, dealing with totally different nations of people, different types of Indigenous people, but I still see my family. I still see the people that have raised me, that have changed my diapers, that have been there for my football games, my life. So I can't put all this in a little compartment and, leave work at work, because that's not how we are as a people. Before colonization, everybody had a job, everybody had a home, everybody ate. I see that out here, when we're helping out our people out in the river valley, out on the streets. There's someone that leads, and there's someone that, they have a specific role. That warrior mentality of taking care of the community is what we've lost. And I'm starting to understand that, because taking care of the community is what's keeping me from going back out and drinking and using and being back out there with them, because this is who I am now, taking care of people, helping them while they mourn, and showing them that someone's there, someone cares. And it's all the stuff that I needed when I was going through the system. I thinking about the way my grandma raised me, and understanding mourning. My dad was murdered when I was 9. He got murdered by one of my uncles and some other, I don't even know who, but I didn't understand because I was 9. And when I was living with my grandma for the longest time, it didn't matter what we were doing. The moment I started to miss my dad, she would let me cry it out. And I think that's what a lot of these people on the streets need. It's just a chance to cry it out and to have someone there. She wouldn't always pick me up and hold me. She would just sit there with me while I cried. She knew we just needed to get it out of our system. I remember when I was a kid, I asked her, so one of my aunties came over and she was detoxing and she was going through DTs. She was delusional. She was having delusions of residential school, and she was going off about what was happening to her at the time. And I asked my grandma how come she let her talk about all that stuff while she was doing that. She said that she needed to talk about it at that time to feel. It was pretty, it's terrible shit to listen to. But she needed to hear, she needed to get that off of her chest. And I got a piece of that pain. And now I'm trying to figure out what to do with my pain and that pain, because I think that's what a lot of our homeless brothers and sisters are facing, is just, what do we do with all this intergenerational pain? How do we deal with loss of identity? So one of my favorite nights from Peace Camp was, I think it was like my 4th or 5th night. This kid, Roma, was there. Casey Star, Kevin. I thought Kevin was a screw or a CO because he said he worked in corrections, but it turns out he was a teacher. But yeah, when I first met everyone, the whole intent behind it was just for safety. And this was during COVID. All sorts of rules and stuff were happening, and people's rights were being violated, and just having a safe space to go where your tents weren't going to get slashed or pepper sprayed. Somewhere where you could be safe, and that's what we tried to give them while we were at Peace Camp. I was a nighttime volunteer with a couple other folks. But that night, my favorite night, though, which really kind of gave me an idea of my purpose, was we dealt with a lot of people coming in off the streets, intoxicated, trying to kick the houseless out of this encampment. And this one night, like, these 3 guys, like, they must have been, they were African, and like, from Africa. I don't know where in Africa, but they got into a disagreement with one of the folks, and they chased him down into the encampment. And it was probably like one of the most intense nights, because like, I didn't know what was going on. I just saw these 3 guys chasing this like kid, and I jumped up and I got in between them and this kid. And then because I jumped up, the whole encampment jumped up, and they were all ready to fight. And I was like telling the guys to like back up, don't worry, I got this handled. And they were all like holding their tire irons and their weapons ready to throw down. And then these 3 dudes, like, they were pretty big, like, ripped dudes, and they were ready to fight. And I'm sitting there and I'm like trying to ward the dudes off. try to keep everybody calm. And the one guy got in my face and he was like, "Do you want to fucking go, buddy? Do you want to fucking do this?" And I looked at him and I was like, "Let's fucking go, man." And he was like, "You don't even know these people. Why?" And I didn't even hesitate. I just said, "Because they're my people." And he stopped. And he looked over at his buddies and he was like, "Yo, bro, let's get the fuck out of here. This guy's good." I never really talked about that because they're my people. And it doesn't matter what skin color you have, what your background is, what you want to call yourself or identify as. You're my people. I just wanted you to have a place to feel safe for the night. And even if it wasn't for the night, for the moment, and if all we could do is offer you a bit of food, the water and the smoke, then, that's what we did. But yeah, after peace camp ended and I was working with our initiative, handing out food with Christina, and I ran into this guy that I worked with, Farron. I ran into him over at the Husky on Jasper 92nd, and he told me about a bunch of folks down in the river valley, and I stepped away from Christina and our initiative and helping her out, and I just decided to do my own thing. I started to cook 40 meals in my kitchen or in my friend's kitchen, either or, but I was cooking in someone's kitchen and taking out food, water, harm reduction supplies to the folks out in the river valley. Because I know a bunch of them. I knew, when I got out there was a couple guys that I went to rehab with, a couple guys that I worked with in the trades, a couple guys from jail. So it wasn't like I was walking into anything new or anyone scary. All while this was going on, we were still doing writing out the Nekem, all the Nekem details. And at the beginning of February, we decided to do the pull for change. I trained for 2 weeks to walk 40K a day. I still can't believe I did that. But yeah, we did all that, and we've been just kind of expanding ever since. We've had built some amazing relationships with Steve and Dan's Fresh BC Fruit is and has been one of our biggest supporters. They donate a bunch of fruit to us. So that's how it started out. Was I would go once a week to the Thursday farmers market on 124. So I'd pick up either a case of cherries, peaches, apples, just different fruits, and I would go take out the fruit right away. And Saturday night up until about 2 months ago, every Saturday, me and Kevin and Bell would bring out almost 100 hot meals. And that adds up after a while, because him and I, we did the math, and there was quite a few meals, 100 from when we started till about 2 months ago. And he even kind of, it's funny because him and I, we have this like really cool relationship where we can just talk about real stuff and he gets it. Because he's like, V, I could come out and I could do all this shit till the like cows come home, but it's not going to make a difference because I'm an old white guy. And you've lived this. You speak the same language. You know the hurt. You know what it's like. And he said that's why a lot of this is working. I still can't believe it's working. But I can in a way because at the end of the day, all I've been trying to do is bring a piece of the res out here. Because I miss that. Me and my brother don't talk much, but I know he misses me. And I miss him too, but I'm always too manly to tell him I fucking miss you. Going through all of this therapy, EMDR, and all this stuff, I understand now that we're all just a bunch of kids. And that's what my grandma was getting at, was that when my relatives went through that stuff in residential school, those children, they numbed out whatever it is they were numbing out through their addiction. They were avoiding that pain. They needed to go through it. And however they go through it is however they're going to go through it. It's not up to me to judge that. It's just up to me to love them. But it's hard because I don't know if I'm loving right. I still have that toxic masculinity. I still have that colonial shame. I still get mad. I'm still an asshole. But I think all that matters is that I'm trying. I think if you learn to talk to that inner child and get your inner child to conversate with that other person's, you build a deeper connection. And that's why understanding these people's trauma is what's important. Letting them mourn the way they gotta mourn is important. I think a lot of them have been through so much that just showing them a little bit of love and humanity is what they need the most. Especially Indigenous people, because it doesn't matter where we go in this country, we're hated. Even our own people hate us. Jealous, scared. We're all just scared. It's just about putting it in the Creator's hand and just letting that fear go. And knowing that no matter how much pain or whatever it is you go through, that it's going to be okay at the end of the day. because we got each other. I guess I'm being that uncle that I wanted, because all of my examples growing up are, my uncles that were ex-cons, ex-dealers, Some of my uncles still referred to women as broads, and, that's not something that's totally appropriate or, okay. But, you work with what you got, right? And I think that's all they were trying to do too, is they were just trying to be the best uncles they could be with the knowledge that they had. The treatment centers that I'd go to, there was always these older native guys, on some sort of release program, and they're always like, "V, this ain't the life for you. Like, what are you doing here?" I get it now because of the way that I was raised. I hear these other people and how they were raised in different cultures and different communities. They didn't have that traditional sense of community where we take care of each other. Whereas if you're hungry, I was going to feed you. I ain't going to put any, you don't owe me shit. Let's just go eat. I went from working in construction and the restaurant industry, and I guess being from, the streets and that lifestyle to this has been quite the learning experience, because I've had to learn to be, this old guy calls it, I have to learn to have diplomacy and to be professional. And I guess switching from, working in a toxic masculine environment where I just tell you what to do and you get it done, to where I need to make sure you know what you're doing, everyone knows what they're doing, and everyone's okay. Because it's not a physically demanding job, but mentally, spiritually, and emotionally, it's pretty heavy. And before, when it was just me, I have a therapist that I've been seeing for the past couple of years. I go unload on him. Ensuring that my team is good to go and they got what they need. But it is kind of cool and fulfilling, because I'm being the boss that I wanted years ago. If I got good shoes, you're gonna have good shoes, because that's how it should be. If I'm drinking, if I got energy drinks, I'm gonna get you an energy drink too. This is no I'm better than you kind of deal. There's no hierarchy with NACA. We all make the same wage. We all make a living wage. I don't, I see other works where some guys make at the top that sit on the board make 6 figures a year, and then I don't want it to be like that. Everybody does the same. When someone on my team tells me it's above my pay grade, I say, that's bullshit, because you and I make the same amount, dude, and if you want to go do this, I can show you how to go do this, and that could be your job. If you want to learn how to do a certain thing at NACO, just tell me and I teach you. And it's cool because everybody has a job, everybody contributes. There's no nobody's better than anyone because they've been here longer, or they have experience in this, or they have a degree. I'd prefer not to hire people with degrees because they're tainted by a broken system. I prefer lived experience over education, because I've had a lot of educated people tell me how to be poor, tell me how to be Indian, I don't want that. One of the biggest reasons why I do it is because goes back to what my grandma taught me. And it has to do with pot. Some of my uncles, when we were growing up, they'd go smoke up in the basement, and I grew up in like the DARE program era, just say no. So when I saw my uncles smoking pot, I was like, well, this is a drug. Why are you letting them do that? And my grandma explained to me that she would much rather my uncles be smoking up and still able to go function and do whatever than having them drink or use any other substance. She was like, it's better that this way, she said. And those were her exact words, it's better this way. And ever since I was a kid, I understood that giving them that option, like, yeah, we go hand out clean meth pipes, clean needles, foils, condoms, stuff like that. Because it's better coming from us, coming from our people, because there's that shame, that colonial shame behind what we're doing. These, like, I go out and I smudge with folks while we're handing out harm reduction. Some of them will be like, I'm high, I don't want to smudge with you. And I'm like, it's okay. You need this medicine. You're not in a good way, and it's all right. Maybe this will wake up that inside of you. But until then, like, here's a clean needle, don't get sick. And know that I'm here and I love you and I care about you. And it all comes down to that. It's just our people helping our people. We've been relying on this broken system, this social work system to help us, but these social workers in the system were put in place to oppress people like us. So we need to help people like us, the ones that have been there, that know what it's like to say, like, hey, bro, I've been there, and when you're ready, I'll be here every step of the way. So it's our way, right? It's our way of life. At least it was before we started to, just kick people off the reserve or kick them out of the community. We found ways to help them be better, and I think this is one of a good way of working towards taking back our indigeneities by helping our people. This addiction, these drugs, all of this isn't our way. But loving people until they're ready is our way. And I think that's important. In 5 years, I want to see us be self-sustainable. I want to have Nekem, I guess, set up kind of like homeboy enterprises down in LA, except it'll be an indigenous twist. We'll incorporate traditional teachings, prayers into our daily work life. Before we come together, before we start working, we smudge. I want to have a kitchen, and I want to hire indigenous people coming out of jail, coming out of institutions, youth in group homes. I want to give them work experience, the kind of work experience that I didn't have, or most of us don't have. And I want to incorporate that catering company into harm reduction, into outreach. I want them to cater, but I also want them to take some time to go out and hand out food to the community, to give them that sense of purpose, to see where that food is going, to see the people they're feeding, to feel that connection. I want to have a Nekem transitional housing that's a harm reduction based housing where, when someone messes up, instead of kicking them out and making them feel bad about what they've done, we're going to sit down and we're going to be like, all right, you had a slip, you fucked up, it's okay. Let's see what we can do moving forward to make sure this doesn't happen again. Giving wraparound treatment, wraparound therapy, everything that they need there. And in 10 years, actual sober living, transitional housing where families can come. You can bring your kids. Or if you're going to be a single dad or a single mom and you still want the parent in the child's life, we're not going to say, no, you can't have that person come because they're dangerous. They're still in active addiction, whatever. Because I've seen a lot of people that's all they need is just a moment with their kids, a moment with their family, to kind of be reminded of what they need to do and what they're working towards. Because some of these people out on the streets, if they had that, I think they'd do better. But there's all these restrictions and all this. I mean, I understand it to an extent, but it's not our way. And I want to see our way changing the way that it is now, because whatever it is that we're doing is broken and it hasn't been working. So maybe our way will work. At least it'll work for our people, So yeah, 10 years, hopefully we have Naum harm reduction housing, sober living, Naum treatment center. Because this is just the beginning. Yeah, I can feed people forever. But if I'm not helping them get to the solution, then I'm just feeding people. I'm Vee Duncan, and I'm Uncle Bumblebee.
You want to do something for your community, then change it. The only way you're going to change it is if you do something. A society where you understand, your little community, you are the strongest part of that link. The only way you're going to change something is if you make a difference, to help make that difference. Show people it can be done. For us, we were just taught. It was just a thing that you were taught. If you wanted something to change, you went in and you changed it. You helped change it. It's the only way you're going to be successful at believing in yourself, that you can help someone. It gives you, at the end of the day, it gives you something from your heart. knowing that they understood.
And that's Vee.
Yeah, he was every sense. Every sense. That was him.